Okay, hi, this is Stu, and of course I'm here at the beautiful where am I? Hey, this is Stu, and I'm here at the beautiful Pebble Valley, and I'm here again with Deepika Mehta. Fantastic.
Hey.
Lots of fun to be had. And we're going to be looking at sort of everyday essentials, so Deepika's take on everyday essentials, things that you can do before practice or whenever you have time, which will help you open up your body in the right areas for the Ashtanga practice. Yeah. Before we start, I just want to say something to you. I want you to keep a real good eye on Deepika, because we had a comment on one of the videos and it said, it was a strength one, and it said, man is strong, that was me. Girl just talk, that was her. So if you see her just sort of not doing much, then you're going to have to sort of put the comments, because I don't want to have to do all the work on these things.
Oh my God. Okay, that's good.
So how are we going to start? What are you going to introduce us to?
We're going to start with a few hip openers, because I feel like because in the Ashtanga practice, especially primary series, there's a whole pattern of, hip opening positions. Even in the standing poses, the external rotation of the hips. And I feel like if this is something that you're really limited in, it's kind of a big struggle, the whole of the primary series.
For the rest of the postures.
Yeah. So I think this is stuff that has really helped me big time in the practice. For a while, I was really struggling with putting my leg behind the head, as most normal people should be struggling with. And I did this hip opening sequence for every day, pretty much for 2-3 months. And this was when I was in Mysore and practicing with Sharat, and I was stuck on this pose called Dvipada Shirshasana.
That's both feet behind the head.
And I did this little sequence every day for 2 or 3 months. And by the end of it, I could see a huge difference. Yeah, I could see it was much easier for me to put the leg behind the head.
Nice. And were you doing it before you start your practice? Before you start practice?
Well, I've got a bit of an obsessive personality.
Right.
As everybody who does Ashtanga, I think.
A little way that inclined.
A little bit. So I would do it every morning, also because it kind of relaxes your body and kind of sets a tone for you to have in the practice. For me, I feel like it really makes you get very calm and grounded and relaxed. So then that's the energy you have in your practice, rather than a very kind of hyper energy. And then sometimes if I had time, I would do it in the afternoon, because it's also like a really good sequence to do before sleeping.
Okay.
Because it just kind of calms you down.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. So you can start in a position like this, like Dandasan, keeping your legs straight, and then bring your left ankle under your right knee. Yeah, and then place your right ankle in front of your left knee. If you can, slightly flex your feet. But if you're feeling very tired and you just want to totally chill out, then just keep your feet totally relaxed. Stretch your hands up as you inhale. If you can, wrap your palms in, so feel like your palms are looking towards each other. Extend your spine, sticking your hips out, and then reach forward. Ground through the index finger and thumb. Feel like you're pulling your chest forward. So have a little bit of a pulling action, extending the spine. So just look up a little bit halfway, creating that extension, and then on the exhale you can just flex your spine and drop down. Now, depending on how you're feeling, if you're feeling very tired, you can just stay with a rounded spine, maybe keep a bolster or keep a pillow, and just stay in this kind of a more soft position for a minute or two. If you feel like you have more energy and you're ready for a little bit more active energy, what I like to do is I just keep my index finger and thumb. Also, it's a little bit of a shoulder warm-up, so wrapping the arms outward, trying to straighten the elbows.
So you're rolling like we'd call that external rotation of the shoulders.
External rotation, grounding through the index finger and thumb. Have a little pulling action, so spreading the collarbones, and then on the exhale, flexing. And I like to play between those two patterns on the inhale and exhale. So on the inhales, a little bit of internal extension. Feel like your pubic bone is stretching away from your belly button. On the exhales, feel like your sit bones are grounding. And just stay here for between 30 seconds to a minute. Connect to your breath. And just observe how with gravity, with your breath, the thighs start rolling outward and dropping down towards the ground. If you want to do this in the evening before sleeping, you can place a bolster, let the crown of the head or the forehead touch the ground, just so it really also relaxes your nervous system.
And it doesn't matter if you're open enough, because some people, their knees will be off their feet, won't they?
Yeah, that's totally fine.
That's totally fine. And if
Yeah.
you're actually resting on your feet, that's also fine.
That's totally fine. So
Okay.
there are not so many rules. It's more like you want to create this kind of a square position. Also, if somebody has major knee problems, they can even place a bolster under here
Yeah.
so that it's not putting too much pressure in the knee. Because if you're holding it for a minute and you start feeling any sensations around here, you want to just keep a bolster so you're not afraid that, you know, anything could happen
Yes,
to your
because as
knee.
you come forward, it tends to put a little bit more pressure
In
here.
the knees. Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So the same thing on the other side. Try not to use your hands. Yeah, switch. Right ankle under left knee, left ankle in front of right knee. One more time. Inhale. Create a bit of space in your spine. Extend up. Exhale. Reach forward. Ground through the index finger and thumb. Wrap the upper arm outward, yet ground through the index. Inhale, extend the spine, spread the collarbones. Exhale, feel like you're pushing the earth away and dropping down. And just playing between those two patterns. On the inhale, feel like you're pulling the earth towards you, which extends your spine. On the exhale, focusing on the grounding action, as if you were pushing the earth away from you, dropping the sit bones into the earth. You can keep your breath totally relaxed, soft belly. Just allowing gravity to do most of the work. And then again, to come out of the stretch, inhale, extend your spine. For some people, this position is where they feel it deepest in the hips. You can stay here a little bit longer if you feel that it's going into the spot where you're the tightest. And then again on the inhale, come up and release. So there's not really any specific rule. It's kind of very dependent on your body, also dependent on how you're feeling internally. Like I said, if you feel like you need to calm your brain down, just allow your body to be more loose and relaxed. If you feel like you need to really work on just specifically on the hips, a little bit of extension sometimes, you know, goes a bit more focus into the
More
hip
focus.
joint.
So it's for those people, like we've come down quite low, but there will be some people that are sort of stuck here.
Yeah, they can
So-
just do this
Yeah.
and feel like they're drawing their chest forward.
Yeah.
Once they feel like that can happen, then slowly walking down.
Great.
Maybe
yeah.
they can stay 30 seconds like this and then place two bolsters and 30 seconds just hang there.
So then they relax.
Yeah,
Yeah, nice.
because I feel relaxation is a very important aspect for flexibility, because if you're tending to hold a lot of tension, I feel like your body is going to do the opposite. You know?
You're just fighting yourself. aren't
Exactly.
you?
So
Yeah.
you want to find that balance between being a bit specific and also finding space for the breath and for some, you know, kind of total release.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure you do that when you're working with people, right?
Yeah, the same
Yeah,
thing. You
yeah.
can't just brutalize them,
too
even
hard.
though sometimes I do.
Yeah, you need to find that balance between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, so the second one is a little deeper. From the same stretch, you can bring your left ankle on your right knee. Yeah, perfect. For people, again, who have some kind of a knee problem, if they feel like this goes, you know, it starts feeling too intense on your knee, they can just be like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sit up tall. Or they could even go down like this and just pull.
Yeah.
Whatever works, but the idea is you're creating that shape.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you're going to have them sitting up like this, do you prefer they sit back up against
Yeah.
the wall?
Yeah, they can sit up against the wall and try to sit up tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then again, if this feels comfortable, then again inhale, stretch the hands. One more time, exhale. Ground through the index finger and thumb. Pull your spine forward. Feel like you're pulling in the lower back. Stay here for a few moments. And then on the exhalation, slowly drop down. And try to take a moment to really visualize the hips. Try to bring your mind-body connection into the hip joint. Feel like you're breathing into the hips. And just setting the intention with each exhale that the hips are sinking, releasing, letting go. Just staying there for a few moments. And then again on the inhale, stretch the spine forward. And then again, come up on an inhale. Exhale, release. And then we switch to do the same thing on the other side. See if you can do it without hands. Right ankle on left knee, left ankle under right knee. Either just stay with this if you feel too much pressure in the knee, or if it feels comfortable, extend forward. One more time, create a little bit of an extension of the spine, pushing the hips back. Yeah, and then on the exhale, let the hips ground into the earth. And try to stay there for 20 to 30 seconds. Keep coming back to the breath. Feel like the breath is going into your hip joint. One more time, after around 30 seconds, extend the spine, come all the way up, and then release. Does that feel good?
Nice.
But you have pretty good hips
I
already.
like this posture, yeah.
Yeah, so you know
and
that's...
do you go to the different angles at
Yeah,
all?
yeah. I like to play around with this, so I feel like it's important to have some rules and then to explore in what feels good for your body. So this would be the ideal position, and then I would like, it's good to kind of walk around, because when you go into this spot, for some people it's kind of specific into where they need to open up. So they can walk around a little bit to the left. It also gives you a really nice stretch in your lats and in your obliques. To the left, hold it there for a few seconds, and then to the right, and try to feel like you're lifting, stretching out of the hip. So I like to go a little bit to the left and right, and just feel into the spot where you can really, feel where you're tight.
Yeah, cool.
So the next one from here, I like to go into Gomukh Asana. So bringing your left ankle outside your right hip, right ankle outside the left hip. So see if you can sit up and then drop both hips into the ground. Yeah.
So we're not doing the Ashtanga underneath one, more of the
No.
traditional.
Just getting into the hips again. One more time, inhale, extend. Exhale, reach forward. Here, since we've already done the straight one, we can explore a bit and just walk it to the left.
I'm coming off of my knee to the side of my knee, or I'm trying to stay my chest on my knee.
You're trying to, most importantly, stretch the hands forward. And at the same time, with the exhales, visualize or feel like you're grounding the hip back.
I'm going down.
So as you stretch forward, trying to, because it's pretty difficult to do that action, but trying to drop the hip back into the earth. And then from here, we walk to the left. You can be on the fingertips, or, first this one, stretching the side. So either on the fingertips or on the forearms, just watching for a moment. Like Pashvakonasana, swinging the arm from under and just stretching to the side.
Nice.
Yeah. And then again, focusing on sinking that hip down and almost feeling like you're trying to stretch the hand in the opposite direction, extending through the arm and wrapping the arm inward.
Okay, and you've come down on the forearm.
Yeah, so it can be on the forearms or on the fingertips, whatever works for you. Yeah. Extending through the fingertips, you can look under your armpit. On the inhale, open up the chest. On the exhale, make sure you ground that right hip back. Stay there for a few moments. After a few 20 to 30 seconds, round your spine a little bit, because it also feels good in the back of the body. And just walk your hands, flexing the spine to get a nice stretch in the back in your QL quadratus. Again, stretch to the left. Slightly draw in the navel so you can get this kind of rounding action. And then drop your right forearm on the ground or be on the right fingertips, whatever feels comfortable. Swing the left arm from underneath. Extend through the fingertips, gaze under the armpit, and then look at the tip of the middle finger. Hold it there for a few seconds. Feel like you're really drawing and extending out of that left hip joint. If possible, push the left hip into the earth, and in the opposite direction, stretch through the fingertips. If it feels comfortable in your neck, after a while, you can just allow the neck to hang. And just see what feels. So instead of looking up, if it feels uncomfortable in the neck, just look front or look down. And then again slowly round your spine, come to the side. This time we're going to go into a little bit of a twisting action. So taking the left arm, push the left arm into the right knee. Keep using that pushing action to twist and look over the back shoulder. On the inhale, extend the spine. On the exhale, go a little bit into that twist. Again, inhale, extending the spine. Exhale, use the left elbow to push into the right knee to look over. Keep pulling that right hip back. One more breath here. And then slowly release. Look front and release.
Nice. I really like that because I'm particularly tight in my
Yeah.
QLs and
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
side,
yeah,
but
me
a lot of
too.
people are.
Me too.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's nice to get that
Yeah.
side bend in there.
And then you can also play around with this movement. So either you can just work on getting a lot of thoracic twisting
Yeah.
and just try to square your hips, so pushing the right hip forward but trying to twist in the upper back. Or if you're feeling it more in the hip joint, then you can just allow the right hip to kind of pull back,
Move
which
a
will
little
then
bit.
give you a stretch in the side of the hip and the outer thigh.
Nice.
Now from here we can either just switch or we can go up. It's not very yin
something
and not very
fancy.
passive, but it's just nice and fun. And then from here slowly drop down if you can with control.
A
Sit
little bit
into
more gracefully than I did, hopefully.
But that was your first time. You didn't even know what was coming up.
Lucky I didn't
so-
fall over, yeah.
But that's what I love about you, Stu, that you're open to just
Ready to do it.
Yeah,
Look at
ready
the
to
difference
do
in the
it.
size of our knees, though. Like, this is like a huge cow knee. Yours is a little delicate foal knee.
No, it's not true. As you can see, I'm pretty tight in this
particular
specific one. Yeah. So same thing again. First, we just take a long inhale, stretch the hands forward. Exhale, reach. Stay here for a few breaths. Feel like you're breathing into the back body. Breathing into the hips. And then walk your hands to the right. And then walk to the side, either be on the forearm or on the fingertips. Swing the left arm from underneath. If it feels like you lose the grounding as you go down on the forearm, just be on the fingertips. If you can, keep that grounding action of the left hip, then sink down into your forearm. Wrap the arm inward. If it feels like you're having pressure in the neck, yeah. So this action with your upper arm and then extend through the fingertips. If it feels like it's too much in the neck, just allow the neck to be relaxed or just look straight ahead. And again, after a few breaths, round your spine, go to the other side. Same thing. Take a moment, stretching diagonally, dropping the right hip back into the earth. Slightly rounding the spine to get a stretch in the back. And then dropping the left arm on the ground, forearm or the left fingertips, stretching in the side. And then again, to come out of it, round the spine, come back to center, and slowly come all the way up. I'm just going to include a tricep stretch here because again, I feel it's something that gets quite tight for some people in the Ashtanga practice. So you can wrap your left arm in, doesn't matter, whichever arm. Either stay here or take the other hand from behind and grab. As you do that action, become mindful that you could be compensating for a lack of flexibility in your tricep by pushing your ribs out. So make sure you drop your ribs back down towards the navel, yet open up the tricep. Again, yeah. Lift your elbow up towards the ceiling and slightly drop the ribs back towards the belly button. Hold it there for a few moments. Keep lifting up the heart on the inhale. on the exhale, feel like the bottom of the sternum is sinking back towards the navel. So you're not overarching your spine. And then very slowly release. We should have done the same arm stretch on the other
On the
side,
other
but
side.
let's do one little bit more of up, turn.
God, it's hard to actually stand after you've been down there for a while, let alone anything else.
Yeah. Same thing on the other side. Hug in the right tricep. Hold it there for a few moments. If you feel like you're very tight in this position, you're having to overarch, just stay with the first stretch. If that feels comfortable, take the other hand from behind, grab. As you do that action, again, connect back, drop the ribs back towards the navel. So feel like your sternum is lifting up, but the ribs are dropping down towards the navel. So you're not overarching in your back. You can visualize on the inhale, prana or energy up, moving towards the center of the heart. On the exhales, visualizing the energy moving back towards the pelvic floor. And just finding that balance between the two. And then very slowly, when you feel like you're stretched enough, then you can slowly release.
Nice.
Yeah.
And for people that just find it hard even to sit like this,
Yeah.
can they
They
sit
can
up on a
place a
cushion?
bolster. Yeah.
bolster
Or
or
a
cushion
cushion.
under the
Yeah.
bum. Nice.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we can go into some hip flexor stretches,
Okay,
because
cool.
again I feel this is something that can get quite tight in the Ashtanga practice, because we're doing these jump back, jump throughs, stuff which can kind of, overactivate your hip flexors. So
Strengthen-wise, yeah.
it's important to release them so you can have good back bends.
Cool. Do you want me to give you some space?
Yeah. So we're going to just start with a more yin kind of a hip flexor stretch and then get a little bit more specific. So you can start the first one. This is the easiest, simplest one. Doesn't require any activation, just allowing the hips to sink. I just let my neck, allow my neck to hang for the first 10 or 20 seconds so that I can really allow firstly to relax the body, and then secondly just to kind of start pushing a little bit forward. Do you want to do it with me? You can use the mat.
We got another one. Assistant will throw us a mat, won't they? Or maybe they won't.
Assistant. Should we stagger a little bit, or this is
Yeah,
fine?
otherwise I completely block you. Oh, I go
I can
behind
be a
you
little
even.
bit forward. No, this is good, like this. And
Okay.
this can be there. Yeah.
Okay. Something like that.
Yeah. I like this easy yoga.
Hmm.
Yeah, so you're just starting off with the first position.
So is your torso resting on your thigh at the moment?
At the first one, the first 2, 3, I'm just totally letting go and trying not to kind of hold on too much or nothing specific, just pushing the hips forward and holding it there. Do you feel anything? in the hip flexor?
Yeah.
Just kind of feeling like the hips are pushing forward. Staying there for 20 counts.
And you're not worrying too much about what you're doing with your sacrum or your pelvis at this stage, just chilling?
I'm just chilling, exactly.
Okay, cool.
I'm just finding the spot and just
Yeah.
focusing on it, breathing into it and just kind of totally chilling.
Nice.
And then the second one, for some people I feel like the second one, if they have pretty tight hip flexors, when they come up they start overarching in the spine. So they can stick with the first one, but then if that feels comfortable they come into the second. You can push your left knee forward. Slightly squeeze your glutes, just because that gives you a little bit more of the hip flexor to release. Slightly squeeze, push the hip forward and then let go. You can stay here for a few moments. And then slowly, using opposite arm, opposite leg, grabbing that back foot. For same arm, same leg, grabbing the back foot, pulling in.
Yep, there.
Yeah. So you can use a bit of PNF stretching here. So for 5 counts, I squeeze my glutes, I resist and push the foot back. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I exhale, let go and release.
Mm-hmm.
Again for 5 counts, I resist. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let go and release. One last time. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let go and release. And then hold that there. And then let go. Same thing, opposite side. You can slightly let the left foot turn out 45 degrees. With the opposite hand, pulling in. Again, pushing the hip slightly forward. Do you feel it in the hip flexor?
Yeah, yeah.
And the quadricep?
Mm-hmm. Actually, I feel it more intense going this way than the other way.
Yeah, me
and
too.
I've never actually tried it this way.
Yeah, me
Actually,
too.
you've got your hand wrapped the other way too. How does that feel?
Yeah, me too. I feel it more when I do it this way. It just hits another spot, I feel. And then release, come back to center. So I like to hold that again for 30 seconds each.
Back as you started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then hug the right tricep in. So same side as the leg which is behind. Take the other hand from behind. And stretch. This is good for back bending.
That's why I'm having difficulty.
Feel like you're lifting out of the pelvis. 2 more counts. Squeeze your glutes, slightly sink forward. Feel like you're lifting the skin out of the pelvis. 1 more. Squeeze your glutes, lift out of the pelvis. And then slowly release. Exhale, stretch the front hamstring. For people who have any kind of tightness in the hamstring, they can just stay here. Or if they feel comfortable, flex the foot and go as deep as possible. I like to move a little bit between those two just to get some heat and warmth. So on the inhale, I just push my hips forward.
So I can see I need to keep readjusting. Maybe I just need to push my ass back.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, very nice. Your hamstrings are really flexible. Again, hips forward. And hamstring. One last time. Hips forward and hamstring. And then from here, you can push back into a downward facing dog. Just a nice lazy dog. Okay, now from here, we step the right leg forward. Yeah. Same stretch on the left side. So we start with the left hip flexor. First one just to warm up. Nice and gentle, relax the body, relax the nervous system. Don't have to do much, just stay here. Just letting gravity do most of the work right now. And then after around 30 seconds to a minute coming up, pushing the right knee forward. Squeezing the glute a little bit to sink the hips forward. Again, slightly squeeze the glute, sink the hip forward. Stay here, 1 more. Sink the hips forward. And if you can, same arm, same leg. Grab, pull. So using a bit of that PNF stretch, squeeze the glute, push the foot away from the hip for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then sink. Again. Push the leg out, away from the hip, squeeze the glute, squeeze the hamstring, and then sink. Let go. One last time. Squeeze out, 2, 3, 4, 5, and sink. And then switch to the other side, same thing. You can let the front foot turn out around 45 degrees. Grab with the other arm, pull.
And it is much easier if you switch that hand around. I was trying to do it the same, like
Like this.
yeah, it's hard, but if you swap it around, it makes it a lot easier.
That's true.
But that's a favorite now. I really like this. This is intense.
It's intense, right?
Yeah.
I feel it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, pull and then release. Now from here, same position, hug the left tricep in. Take the other arm from behind. pull the left tricep up towards the ceiling. Feel like you're lifting your ribs out of the pelvic floor. So this is good for back bending. Stay a few more. Release. From here, inhale into the hip flexor, exhale, hamstring. 3 more times. Inhale into the hip flexor. You can start opening up the chest. Exhale, flex the back front foot. 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale. One last time. Inhale. Exhale. And from here, push back into a downward facing dog. And then drop onto the knees. Yeah, and sit.
Right.
So now we can do some shoulder stretches.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So we'll have to use.
The wall.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just relocating because we want to use this bit of wall, but you could use a chair, a window ledge, or anything that gives you a bit of height, right,
Yeah.
Deepika?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so
So
we're into the
we-
shoulders.
We're going to get really specific in opening the shoulders because I feel like if your shoulders are really tight, that's going to kind of compromise your entire practice, starting from your downward dog.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have the shoulder opening, you're going to compensate with wrong patterns, which then ends up, leading to other kind
Pain,
of
weaknesses, everything
exactly,
else.
yeah. So we're working a bit on stability and opening in the shoulders. So to keep the stability of the action in the shoulders, you're going to use a block and make sure your elbows are squeezing that block so that the elbows are not allowed to wing out.
Right.
Yeah. So you can use a block or a book. If you don't have a block, you can use a book. Squeeze the block with both elbows. Make sure your elbows don't wing out. Yeah. And then walk your knees back. Now you can grab another block or a bottle or a book with the hands.
And that just keeps them nicely spaced, doesn't it? Because
Exactly.
otherwise
Yeah.
they tend to roll in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And first action, which is most important, is squeezing the block with the elbows. Yeah. And then second action is you want to try to reach the chest towards the ground, but as you do that, make sure you're squeezing that block firmly. Every time you feel like you're letting the elbows wing out, squeeze the block, then let the ribs move towards the ground. Then reset so you're not really arching too much on your lower back by slightly tucking under. Again, reach the chest towards the ground, squeeze the elbows into that block, and then reset, slightly curl under, just a subtle curling under. One last time, go down with the chest, ribs towards the ground, squeeze the block with the elbows, slightly tuck under, and see if you can hold it there. And then come up. So this one, it's quite intense because you're also, obviously, it's not just flexibility, it's also stability, and your nervous system does get a bit triggered. So I think 30 seconds is a good amount of time to hold.
That's
more
enough.
than,
Even for a stiff guy like me.
yeah. I think 30 seconds is important. So I would say, if you have shoulder issues, you just, make sure you use a watch and do 30 seconds.
Okay.
And that, I think, is the best thing because it's going to really open up your shoulders in a downward dog, open up your shoulders in all the back bends, Urdhva Dhanurasana, Kapotasana, all of that. Also, if you're working into inversions like Pincha Mayurasana, headstand, handstand, all of these positions require you to be able to have good flexibility and stability.
Yeah.
Second position, it's slightly more intense, but again, it's really good for your downward dog and again for all those positions. Palms touching each other. Yeah. One more time, try to create the external rotation. So feel like if you had a pen, you just draw arrows. So the skin of the upper arm is going outward.
Rolling out, yeah.
Yeah. Creating that external rotation of the upper arm, trying to reach the chest down. Even if it's a subtle movement, that's fine. Don't go for a big movement. Again, create that external rotation. Go down a little bit. Keep setting the shoulders, external rotation. Reach down. One more time. External rotation, reach down. Again, keep doing that and then slightly curl under the tailbone. Visualize your chest moving down towards the ground, armpits moving down towards the ground. But the tailbone is curling under, so you're not overarching in the lower back. Try not to hold your breath. And then slowly come up. Did you feel it?
Yeah.
It's intense, right?
Yeah.
This one is a bit more intense.
And so for someone that's broader in the shoulders, like I am relative to you,
Yeah, you
still
can keep your arms
so take them a little bit
wider.
apart.
Yeah.
I felt I needed just a bit more space.
Yeah. And just showing a third variation.
Yeah.
You can just do the first one, I think is very important, and then you can go between the second one like this and the third one like this.
Okay.
Because this one forces you to be able to do that external rotation with the upper arm. So again, you can grab a block, this time with straight arms. I think this one is again like an essential for most practitioners. Also for handstands, for back bends, an amazing shoulder opener. So external rotation, set the position, straighten your elbows, straighten, more if you can. Go down, walk your knees back, go down, and then slightly curl under. Again, external rotation, squeeze the block with your palms, keep wrapping the upper arm outward, go down, slightly curl under. One last time, external rotation, slightly tuck under, reach with your chest down. You can use a little bit of a dynamic movement here, slightly tuck under and hold it there. Again, 20 seconds, 30 seconds is what you should be holding it for. And then slowly come up.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could feel all
It's
of those.
intense, right?
And do you ever use a strap or not? Do you think you need a strap to control the elbows? Because
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
like mine are really get pulled out.
So I feel if your elbows tend to keep doing this action, it's
Yeah.
also firstly resetting your nervous system,
Yeah.
because we like everything becomes a habit, right? Even if you're physically able to do this, because the nervous system is got wired to go into an easier neurological pathway, it wants to keep doing that. So doing this is almost like resetting something, which is why it's important to go small instead of just going really big. The strap helps, but I would say if you're using the strap, think about trying to make the strap loose by
rather than just
squeezing the elbows
pushing,
away from the strap, because I see people using the strap and then they're just doing this into the strap,
the
which
strap's
is
doing all the
actually
work.
not exactly. It's not making you do the work. The most important thing is you want to do this work. The strap is giving you the feedback that you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, nice.
Right?
Yeah.
So the strap is great. Just to keep giving you the feedback, like suppose there was a teacher holding you and grabbing your arms like that. The strap is telling you, okay, you need to squeeze away from that strap.
Yeah, nice.
This one I think is a game changer for me, because when you start doing this, and you can really feel, right, like
You
your
can feel right into the
activation,
shoulders, into the rotator cuff.
activation and opening up. And those two, that one and this one, I feel if you do it every day, I feel like in a month, it's going to really change your back bends and your handstands, or pincha, or whatever it is that you're working on.
Anytime
Even
you take your arm up into flexion, isn't
exactly.
it? Really?
Even like a headstand, I notice so many people, and they're just doing this, which is then setting everything off. So I feel this one is like my
The
number
gold.
one.
The
My number
gold.
one.
Yeah,
exactly,
good.
exactly. It's the one that you
Good.
should do every day. And the hip openers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that took what, half an hour? Maybe what did you
Yeah.
spend a day? Half an hour on that sort of thing?
Yeah. I don't do everything every day.
Okay.
So depending on like what I'm going to do that day. So if I'm doing more like leg behind the head poses,
Yes.
I just spend a few minutes before just sitting like this as if I was in meditation.
Yeah.
If I was going to do a lot of back bends, then I just do more the hip flexor stretches. And if I was going to work on really deep back bends, and I was going to do handstands or whatever, I do like 5 minutes. That one takes like a minute between both.
Doesn't take long, does it?
Yeah. So it depends on where you're at, what you're working on, what your little spots are. But if you're just tight overall, I think this little sequence can really,
Find time for all of it,
help.
I think. Yeah.
It's like what is like prehab, right? So
Yeah.
that you don't have to go to come to you.
Yeah, well, so maybe don't do it after all, yeah. Just
Because it's like you're avoiding all those things that can
it's
lead
true,
to an
isn't it?
injury,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So much can be done.
Yeah, I prefer like just having quality practice with a bit of this kind of stuff added in, rather than doing too much and just injuring yourself.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. Thanks so much, Deepika. And
Thank
so
you.
have a play with that. Any questions, you can post in the comments if you're not quite clear about something, and we'll try and clear it up. But that was brilliant. Yeah, thank you so much,
Thank you,
Deepika.
thank you.
Ta.